Hi, Canada. I'm Hugh Hewitt inside the Beltway in the ReliefFactor.com studio. I found you to tell you the story of your life, which includes yet another great night at the Republican National Virtual Convention. 2 for 2. They're 2 for 2. Wow, what a night. I'm starting with the part of the convention that came direct from Israel. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo joined the convention via videocast. Here is what the Secretary of State had to say, summing up Donald Trump's foreign policy for the past 4 years. Cut number 8.
Hi, I'm Mike Pompeo. I'm speaking to you from beautiful Jerusalem, looking out over the old city. I have a big job as Susan's husband and Nick's dad. Susan and Nick are more safe, and their freedom's more secure, because President Trump has put his America First vision into action. It may not have made him popular in every foreign capital, but it's worked. President Trump understands what my great fellow Kansan President Eisenhower said. For all that we cherish and justly desire for ourselves or for our children, the securing of peace is the first requisite. Indeed, the primary constitutional function of the national government is ensuring that your family and mine are safe and enjoy the freedom to live, to work, to learn, and to worship as they choose. Delivering on this duty to keep us safe and our freedoms intact, this president has led bold initiatives in nearly every corner of the world. In China, he's pulled back the curtain on the predatory aggression of the Chinese Communist Party. The president has held China accountable for covering up the China virus and allowing it to spread death and economic destruction in America and around the world. And he will not rest until justice is done. He has ensured that the Chinese Communist Party spies posing as diplomats in America are jailed or sent back to China. And he has ended the ridiculously unfair trade arrangement with China that punched a hole in our economy. Those jobs are coming back home. In North Korea, the president lowered the temperature and against all odds got the North Korean leadership to the table. No nuclear tests, no long-range missile tests, and Americans held captive in North Korea came home to their families, as did the precious remains of scores of heroes who fought in Korea. Today, because of President Trump, NATO is stronger, Ukraine has defensive weapon systems, and America left a harmful treaty so our nation can now build missiles to deter Russian aggression. And in the Middle East, when Iran threatened, the president approved a strike that killed the Iranian terrorist Qasem Soleimani. This is the man most responsible for the murder and maiming of hundreds of American soldiers and thousands of Christians across the Middle East. And you'll recall, too, that when the president took office, radical Islamic terrorists had beheaded Americans, and ISIS controlled a territory in the size of Great Britain. Today, because of the president's determination and leadership, the ISIS caliphate is wiped out. It's gone. Its evil leader, Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi, is dead. And our brave soldiers, they're on their way home. The president exited the U.S. from the disastrous nuclear deal with Iran and squeezed the Ayatollah, Hezbollah, and Hamas. The president, too, moved the U.S. Embassy to this very city of God, Jerusalem, the rightful capital of the Jewish homeland. And just 2 weeks ago, the president brokered a historic peace deal between Israel and the United Arab Emirates. This is a deal that our grandchildren will read about in their history books. You know, as a soldier, I saw firsthand people desperate to flee to freedom. The way each of us can best ensure our freedoms is by electing leaders who don't just talk, but who deliver. An American hostage, imprisoned in Turkey for 2 years, Pastor Andrew Brunson, said upon his release that he survived his ordeal with these words of Scripture: "Be faithful, endure, and finish well. If we stay the course, we will." May God richly bless you, and may God bless our great nation, the United States of America.
That was so effective. In 4 minutes, Mike Pompeo laid out the entire 4 years of Donald Trump, and with great effectiveness. Contrast that with my other favorite speaker of the night, a lobsterman from Maine. And this must have made Susan Collins' heart sing, and every fisherman on every coast in America feel pride. Here's Jason Joyce, the lobster guy at the RNC last night, cut number 7.
Good evening. My name is Jason Joyce, and I'm an 8th-generation lobster fisherman from Swans Island, Maine. I make my living from lobster fishing, oyster farming, and providing eco tours in the beautiful waters near Acadia National Park, where I have over 200 years of family history. I have to confess, I didn't support Trump in 2016. Skeptical that he shared my conservative views, I expected him to flip-flop on his campaign promises. But he has followed through on his promises, including last week when he brokered a deal to end European Union tariffs of 8% on Maine live lobsters and up to 20% on Maine lobster products, which is great news for Maine's lobstermen and women. I live on an island with 370 residents, and lobstering is how we provide for our families. Maine's lobstermen are true environmentalists. We practice conservation every day. If we didn't, we'd be putting ourselves out of business. 4 years ago, the Obama-Biden administration used the Antiquities Act to order thousands of square miles of ocean off limits to commercial fishermen. They did it to cater to environmental activists. Although Maine's lobstermen don't fish there, Obama's executive order offended us greatly. It circumvented the Fisheries Council's input. President Trump reversed that decision, reinstating the rules that allow stakeholder input, and he supports a process that seeks and respects fishermen's views. As long as Trump is president, fishing families like mine will have a voice. But if Biden wins, he'll be controlled by the environmental extremists who want to circumvent long-standing rules and impose radical changes that hurt our coastal communities. I strongly support President Trump's re-election. When he sees something isn't right, he's fearless in fixing it. He listens to working people. He nominates judges who respect the Constitution and the right to life. He keeps his word, like eliminating the European tariffs and moving the U.S. Embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem. I hope you will join me this time in voting for President Trump. Stand up for your country. Thank you.
Don't you love that? Mike Pompeo speaks from Jerusalem, and a Maine lobsterman talks about Jerusalem. Now, he's from down east. I mean, way up there. Swans Island is way up there. You know, all the way to Israel. I'll play a lot of this stuff today. Nicholas Sandmann was probably the most effective. Melania Trump in the Rose Garden was wonderful. Kentucky Attorney General Daniel Cameron was just terrific. It was another home run, and we'll replay it today so that you, if you missed it last night, or you went to bed early because you're up early to go do your work, well, the emphasis was on working people last night. I mean, people who are up already and on their way to work, and I want to make sure you get to hear that. I also want to make sure, by the way, you look how I'm dressed up. I got to do the Washington Post video cast right after the show today, so Harry's Razor, thank you. Got my Harry's out early, got the best shave in America going. You can get one, too, if you go to harrys.com, use my name, Hugh, harrys.com, use my name, Hugh. I want to thank all of you. The coronavirus came up last night during this pandemic. Haiti, Guatemala, Central America, it's so grim. Food for the Poor's Executive Director Angel Aloma is asking each of us to put ourselves in the place of this mother in Haiti who is watching one of her children get thinner every day because of lack of food.
Now with the coronavirus, she sees that the hope keeps getting smaller and smaller. Imagine if a 2-year-old who might have weighed 13 pounds and all of a sudden they go to 12 and they go to 11 and they go to 10 and they go to 9 and they go to 8 and they go to 7. Imagine if that were your child, knowing that because you could not get them food, that your baby is going to die.
You can stop that. This famine is pretty extensive. It is particularly terrible in Colombia because of the Venezuelan refugees who have come there. But wherever they are, Food for the Poor is working. Please call with a donation right now, 855-359-4673. Melania Trump said later on, Americans always step up, and you folks have stepped up greatly. I only have 3 days left to raise from you the support for Angel and the people at Food for the Poor. You can also go to HughHewitt.com, and you'll see an emergency food relief banner load at the very top. Give it a second. Let it get there. $37 feeds a child for 6 months. So if you can give that, that would be terrific. Or if you can give 100 or 200 or 300, whatever you can give. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You've been so generous. Please continue to do so. More from the Republican National Committee when we return to this Wednesday morning edition of the Hugh Hewitt